Hello, parents and guardians. My name is Lindsay Rogan. I am the school social worker here at East West. I am joined today with Linda Sakin. She is from the Department of Health. She is our assigned school mental health manager. And today we are going to present on social media 101, the basics. And we're going to be talking about how it impacts our children, our families, and our mental health. This is recorded. Obviously, you're watching it recorded. We are posting it to YouTube. So that way, parents and guardians can use the closed captioning function and do auto translate so that you can have closed captioning in whatever language you can understand. And so in order to do that, you click on the CC button at the bottom, and then you go to the right on the settings tab and you click the word subtitles, and then you click the word auto translate, and then you can select your language from there. Okay, and if you need help, of course, please outreach to me. You can outreach to our parent coordinator, Ms. Ariel Campbell. We can help you, walk you through that. Okay, so we will get started with our presentation. So our agenda today is obviously about social media. We're also going to be talking about cyberbullying, live streaming, safety around video games, how social media impacts our brain, signs and symptoms of overuse, the connection between our mental health and social media, and how to keep your child safe. And obviously, we're also going to be talking about tips on how to engage your child without screens too, because that's very important. So here we have some of the most common social media images and icons. So this is just a quick way to test your social media knowledge to see which ones you can recognize, or maybe you don't recognize, or maybe you might see on your child's phone. You see an app on their phone. So this is a great way for you to kind of brush up on some of the more current apps and see which ones your children are using. Okay. All right, cyberbullying. This is bullying that takes place over any digital device, whether it's your phone, your computer, your tablet. There are several apps like the ones I just showed you, Facebook and Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and then obviously a whole host of video games. Cyberbullying can take place over instant messaging like GChat. It can take place over just regular text messaging, or it could take place within video games within their chat function too. So you want to be really mindful that there's unfortunately a lot of places where cyberbullying can take place. These are some of what we call our digital drama. These are things that happen that can create a lot of anxiety, depression, and other mental health concerns. So if you haven't heard the word FOMO, which stands for fear of missing out, this is a sensation that we can all get from time to time, but our children can really feel like something is happening out there on their phone, on their tablet or computer, in a Discord server, in a chat room. Something's happening and they're not a part of it. And it can create a lot of anxiety in our children and this feeling that they need to connect, they need to stay on all the time, they don't want to miss out on something. So it's important for us to understand that, recognize it in ourselves so that we can also help talk about it with our children. We wanted to educate on some of the impersonation tactics that are out there in the world of social media and in the digital world in general. So catfishing, if you are not familiar, is the term used to describe when somebody is impersonating somebody else, pretending to be somebody else. This can be an adult pretending to be a teenager. This can be another teenager pretending to be another teenager. It can be a whole host of different combinations. So you want to really encourage your child to have that critical eye when they're speaking with people. And even if they're speaking with somebody who they know, you want to always just have them be a little careful and a little mindful of that this is all online, okay? There's one example of a student who was logged onto their Gmail on a public computer and forgot to sign out. and another student came along and then used their GChat to start GChatting another student, pretending to be the student whose account that they were signed into. And that created a lot of embarrassment, that created a lot of bullying. And it was impersonating, but it was really harmful. It was a really harmful act. So you really want to remind your children to sign out of all of their accounts as another form of protection. Distortion of images. This is the use of filters and different lighting to make our appearances look different, for better or for worse. And then there's also highlight versus real life. It's, really just the concept of highlighting only the good in our life, only putting out there in the world the things that are great, which is showing my life is wonderful, and not really showing some of the more neutral or negative aspects of our life to protect ourselves, to protect our online persona, so to speak. Live streaming is when we are live with a video and we're sharing content about anything in our daily lives. Some people live stream putting on their makeup, singing, anything. So you can do this function on a lot of the different apps and a lot of the different social media apps. So you want to be really mindful of what what live streaming is and how it can be harmful or dangerous. And we have a few tips to remember with live streaming here. Once you go live, it can be archived forever. So just like with anything, posting videos, live streaming can also be archived. You want to be mindful of the privacy and safety features on the apps and see if you can set some privacy around your location. We always recommend turning off your location. Some students prefer to keep it on purpose. They want to show off where they are. But a great rule of thumb is to turn off that location setting, because anyone can locate you then. All of these live stream platforms have terms of services, so you really want to review those. They might be able to reshare your live stream without notifying you or paying you, compensating you. And then there's also usually always a way that you can report abuse. So if you see any inappropriate behavior, you can make that report. And then you want to talk to your children about some of these boundaries, and you want to come up with some shared rules around live streaming, because if your child is live streaming you need to know about that, or your location. So it has to be a shared agreement. So, we got a lot of these tips from this website, cyberbullying.org. So feel free to check it out for more information. Okay, video games. Video games are huge now, as most of you know, and they can really impact our children. They aren't all bad. We don't want to say that they're all bad, but you want to be mindful of what types of video games your children are watching, because if they are violent video games, the research has shown that that can really increase aggression and decrease pro-social behavior. And pro-social behavior is any behavior that is positive or is showing kindness to others, usually in person. But the research has shown that that really decreases the more violent video games your child watches. So you really want to be mindful of that. And on the flip side, if there is a pro-social video game, something that's positive, that encourages kindness and consideration, that can have the opposite effect, right? That can really decrease their aggression. So we really want to be mindful of that. So some tips around video games is you want to know what the video games are. And you want to be mindful of the age rating. After maybe playing the video game with your child, you might agree that maybe they're ready for a video game, or maybe they're not ready for a video game. But I always encourage parents to play the video games with your child. Not only is it a great way to bond with your child, but then you're in the know. You know the lingo, you know the characters, you know the terms that they might be using. It's a great way to get to know your child and how they're spending their free time. You want to talk to your child about appropriate behavior and language during video games, and make sure it's very clear that the same rules that apply to in-person behavior apply to behavior during a video game or if you're on a chat. Kindness, consideration, language use. You really want to kind of connect the two, that the same rules apply. We can't just, now that we're on a screen, feel protected. You're putting yourself out there. People could be recording you. They could be, capturing your conversation in a picture. You never know. So you really want to encourage your child to remember just common rules of courtesy and decency when they're communicating on any kind of chat and in video games. The adrenaline kicks in video games, obviously, which is why you need to constantly remind them that, yes, it's a game, just like if you were playing a sports game. Obviously, our adrenaline kicks in. We might get disappointed. We might be excited. We might, start speaking in a way that's elevated. But you need to just kind of keep the norms and keep the rules in check. And then obviously you want to make sure that you put some time constraints around video games, just like with any screen time. And then obviously encourage your child to do activities either with you or with friends in person, seeing them in person. You want to always have a balance. Like I said, video games are not bad, but you want to remember everything is good in moderation. So keeping that time constraints on it. Okay, so we are going to show a video on how social media affects the brain. I'm also going to take this opportunity to show you how to use the closed captioning in case you are still struggling with that. Let me make sure my sound is shared. Give me my share sound, great. And then I'm going to
social media.
Pause right there. See this CC, the closed captioning? We're going to turn that on. And then I'm going to do settings, subtitles. Let me see. Here we go. Subtitles, auto translate. And then you see all the lovely languages we can choose. So I'm going to choose Chinese. Start.
Social media has become part of our nature. We post, we share, we like, we follow, we unfollow, we subscribe. But how is social media affecting us? A small study of 20 college students found a correlation between students who demonstrated higher levels of Facebook addiction and activity in the amygdala striatal system while they interacted with Facebook symbols. This activation was the same seen in those with substance addiction. In a 2016 UCLA study, teens were split into two groups. One was shown a photo with a high number of likes, and the other group was shown the same photo, but with fewer likes. Those who viewed the photo with more likes were more likely to like the photo themselves than the group who saw the photo with fewer likes. Again, it was the same picture. This experiment found activity in multiple parts of the brain when teens saw photos they took receive a lot of likes. In particular, the study found significant activity in part of the brain's reward circuitry known as the nucleus accumbens. Dopamine is released in the brain after positive social stimuli, such as likes and positive comments on social media. That photo she just posted, she got a bunch of likes, releasing dopamine into her brain and causing a feeling of satisfaction. Psychologist B.F. Skinner found that mice would respond to certain stimuli they knew resulted in a reward more often when the reward came at variable times. This theory can also be applied to social media and the times we check it looking for a reward in terms of a like, comment, or message. We habitually check our accounts, but we are not always rewarded. Maybe this photo didn't get the amount of likes you wanted, so you will try again and again and again, looking for that reward. But wait, something else. Have you ever felt your phone vibrate when it really didn't? According to Robert Rosenberger of the Georgia Institute of Technology, we've become so connected to our phones that they've sort of become part of our bodies. Anytime something stimulates or triggers sensation in an area where you keep your phone, you might believe it's your phone. This is called phantom vibration syndrome. Studies show that nearly 90% of people report experiencing these phantom vibrations.
Okay. It's pretty jarring, right? To watch something like that and realize how our social media affects the brain.
Social media has become part of.
Okay. So I am going to turn it over to Linda Sakin. Again, she is our representative from the Department of Health. She is our school mental health manager. She will continue the presentation for us.
Thank you, Lindsay. We just saw in the video how social media can be addictive, how when you receive a text or a like for something you posted, it can make you physically feel good. This can make your child want to be on it more and more. Here are some signs that your child may be using social media too much. Next slide. If you notice your child is becoming withdrawn and isolative and spending less time with others, at this age, it's normal for your child to want privacy and to spend time alone. But if you notice that your child is spending too much time alone and you see a big change with them, not spending time with their friends or the family. Also, if you notice your child is becoming more secretive about their relationships, although it's normal for your children at this age to want to keep some things private about their lives and their friendships, but if you notice that they never want to share anything about their friendships or who they're spending time with online, that could mean their social life is happening too much online. Another sign is if they're spending less time doing other activities or hobbies that they used to enjoy doing. You may also see a big change in their emotions. They may seem anxious or even depressed when they're not on social media. They may feel guilty if they don't post or if they don't respond to their friends' posts right away. They may also seem agitated and even react with anger if you question their use of social media or try to restrict their use. Also, if they are glued to their phone and have a really hard time disconnecting from their phone, you just always see them with their phone in their hand, maybe watching videos or checking for messages or playing games. And something that's really passive that kids are doing is they'll watch videos of others playing online games rather than actually playing the games themselves. Another sign of too much use is if they neglect their schoolwork. If you see their grades are going down, or not doing household chores because of time spent on social media. And lastly, if you catch them lying to you, or if you catch them sneaking around just to hide how much time they are spending on social media. Another concern is that too much social media can also negatively affect your child's physical health, like causing back pain or constant headaches from eye strain, which can come from staring too much at the screen. Pain in their wrists can sometimes happen, called carpal tunnel syndrome. This comes from repetitive motions of pressing the same buttons or keys on their keyboard or game controller. Too much use can also cause your child to have sleep issues. They may be staying up too late to be online and then have difficulty falling asleep or difficulty waking up for school. Also, if you see a change in their weight from either eating too much or too little. So if you see any significant changes in your child's behavior, emotions, or their physical health, when it comes to social media, you may need to help limit your child's use of it. And a little later on, we're going to talk about some ways parents can help their children with this. And next slide. So is everyone familiar with the fairy tale Goldilocks and the Three Bears? Goldilocks is a story about a little girl who went into the home where a family of bears live, a papa bear, a mama bear, and a baby bear. And when Goldilocks tried each of their beds, she found that Papa Bear's bed was too hard, Mama Bear's bed was too soft, but Baby Bear's bed was just right, that moderate feel. And this was the same for when she tried out their porridge, where the moderate temperature of Baby Bear's food was just right for her. Not too hot like Papa Bear's and not too cold like Mama Bear's porridge. So when we think about the right amount of social media for preteens and teens, researchers refer to this as the Goldilocks hypothesis, known as the just right screen time. Researchers have found that kids who use screens a moderate amount were shown to be happier and more well-adjusted than those who used it too much or not at all. So just that moderate of use was best for youth. Next slide. So let's talk about why social media can negatively impact your child's mental health. For one thing, we have to understand that a child's brain does not fully develop until their mid-20s. So they don't always make the right decisions at this age because they don't tend to think about the consequences of their actions. So they may act impulsively or take risks. Children and teens may be inclined to copy risky behaviors they see online because they don't take the time to think things through. Also, the need for peer approval is strong at this age, and social media feeds into this. Youth can feel a lot of pressure to post, to respond to peers, to play games, or take on challenges. And some challenges out there have been found to be harmful for kids. So it's really important that you talk to your children about never doing these challenges that are presented online. Youth may also compare their own lives to what they see online. As Lindsay was talking about earlier, they may see their friends posting exciting things, making it appear that everything is going so well for them, like they have it all together. What we need to do is teach our children to look at social media with a critical eye. We need to let our children know that everybody has tough times and experiences difficult feelings, but their friends and peers are mostly posting just positive things in their lives. Also, their friends may likely be exaggerating how well things are going for them. We need to point out to our children that their friends aren't posting about their problems or about things not going well. We also need to remind our children that photos can be altered using methods like Photoshop and filters, which they're probably very savvy at knowing, but they may not think of it when viewing online photos of their friends or their peers. We need to remind them that these artificial techniques could make someone look close to perfect. They can make someone look thinner or airbrush their skin so it looks flawless. Our children need to understand that this is not real life that they're comparing themselves to. There's also a lot of pressure with social media. We talked about FOMO, fear of missing out, when your child feels left out, when their friends are posting things they do with other kids when your child is not there. Also, they may feel pressure when someone likes one of their posts to like their friend's post back. Even if they really don't like it or even care about it, the pressure is there to respond. Other social media they may feel pressured to respond are their friends' postings, Instagram stories, and texts. There's also something on Snapchat called Snap Streaks, where there's a series of Snapchat pictures volleying back and forth between two people that causes teens to feel they must maintain this communication, or they feel like they're actually letting their friend down. If a person doesn't respond, they could feel anxious or even guilty. So also when playing multiplayer games, kids feel pressure because they are part of a group. So if they're supposed to play a certain level at a certain time, it feels important that they participate and not disappoint their friends. Because of all this pressure deep down, our kids may really want parents to limit their use of their devices and take this pressure off. They may fight you at first, but part of them may feel some relief from not having to respond to their friends and peers at all hours. And also there could be drama online, which happens mostly with adolescent girls because kids are behind a keyboard and not face to face. This can lead a youth to act in a mean or cruel way towards someone. They may say or do things that they wouldn't do if they were face to face with that person. And because teens, especially girls, tend to play out their social lives online, this can result in there being some drama. And really concerning is that social media has been linked to an increase in depression and anxiety among girls. One reason may be that girls, more than boys, tend to feel more emotionally distressed when comparing their appearance to the online pictures of their friends or their peers. It's really important that parents help their daughters to not focus on their appearance too much, and instead help them to focus on their other qualities, things they're good at, maybe a subject in school, art, or an instrument, or a sport, something they really excel at, something a parent can do rather than saying, "You look so pretty." You can say, "Wow, you're really talented at the way you did your hair or the way you put that outfit together," focusing more on their skills rather than their looks. And it's important that girls feel internally validated for all of their wonderful qualities, rather than looking for external validation for their appearance from social media. Adolescent and younger age girls are spending their time comparing themselves to these unattainable images they see of other girls. Because as we discussed, these photos are likely not showing how they really are in life, in real life. So as parents, we tend to, we need to have these conversations with our girls to help them look at social media in a realistic way. And this will help them not to feel so anxious about their own appearance, and can help them look at themselves in a more realistic way and focus on all their important qualities beyond how they look. And next slide. So here are some tips for you as parents to help keep your child safe when they are using social media. Continually talk to your child about online safety. Some things Lindsay mentioned, blocking inappropriate language or certain sites, making sure things are on private, never sharing personal information. Ask your child who they communicate with online. We talked about catfishing before, where an adult can pretend to be a child when they're online, right? We want to make sure that our children are only gaming and chatting with their peers and friends and not with adults or strangers. Also, you want to make sure your child isn't being exposed to language you don't approve of. It helps to set clear rules for internet use, including time limits, as Lindsay said. It may be helpful to use a family contract to set up rules for your children's social media use. And here we provided a contract you can use with your child. If you click on this link, Family Media Agreement, you will see it in English and in Spanish. And you want to check your child's browser history to monitor the content they have been viewing. And if you can, try to keep the computer in a high traffic area of your home. You can friend your child on social media sites that you could monitor their activity. You could also install a pop-up blocker or other software to block certain content. And very important, to model balance in your own use of social media. And there's a link here which will give you some tips on how parents can limit their own use of social media. So you're being a good role model for your kids. Some are simple things like turning off notifications or putting on the do not disturb setting when you're spending time with your children. Next slide.
Just to chime in, I know some families all put their phone in a basket or a bucket or on a separate table before dinner time so that they really don't have that distraction.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go to the next slide. And here are some tips for parents to be intentional about spending one-on-one time with your child. You want to schedule time, even if it's brief, every day when you can engage with your child without any distractions like the TV or phone. And when spending time with your child, they should have your undivided attention and should take the lead to choose the activity or topic of conversation. If you have multiple children, it's important to spend time with each of them individually. And sometimes when we ask our children how their day was, we're lucky if we get one-word answers like fine or good, or maybe we don't even get a word, just a shrug of the shoulders. So to try to get your child to talk more, try asking more open-ended questions so they can't just answer with one word or yes or no. You could try saying something like, what was the best part of your day? Or I'd love to hear something interesting you learned today in school. When you ask your child about their day and what they're learning, it shows how much you care about them and care about their school life. Encourage non-screen activities like spending time outdoors. It's recommended that children have at least an hour of outdoor time every day, or play a board game together. And lastly, try to schedule family time. Research shows that doing activities as a family can have positive effects on youth in terms of reducing feelings of depression, being less likely to smoke or abuse alcohol or drugs, having increased feelings of self-esteem and self-confidence, and it helps to foster your child's communication skills. So this brings us to the end of our presentation, and we're going to have a live workshop for you sometime in April. And Lindsay, you can talk more about that. And before I end, here are some questions to think about until we meet again. So what are some pros and cons of using social media? What do you like about social media? What don't you like? How do you feel about what happens on social media? And how do things on social media impact your life online and your kids' life?
Thank you,
Now
Linda.
I'll turn it to Lindsay.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, we're gonna wrap up the recording. There are, of course, resources that we always like to share at the end of a workshop. NYC Well is a 24/7 hotline that you can call, you can text, you can chat online. It is specific to New York City. It's not only a crisis hotline if someone's in crisis, but it's also a referral resource too. New York Project Hope is also a great resource for any crisis services. The Child Mind Institute, they host parent workshops as well. They offer them in English and Spanish, and every month they change up their topics from mental health to other social issues that children might be encountering. There's a gazillion different parenting podcasts and blogs that you can follow. So I always like to highlight at least one or two. AHA has a great one. You know, there's a lot. So at every workshop, I always try to highlight at least one of them. New York Psychotherapy also offers free online and in-person workshops for parents. You can check out their website. Mindfulness is something that we always try to encourage in adults and children. And there's a lot of apps out there that give you like small chunks of mindfulness. So you don't have to commit to an hour meditation. You can do a quick 5-minute one to help ground yourself. And then we also have the link to the family media agreement that Linda mentioned. So we will share the slides along with the recording of this video so that you can have all the resources. And of course, you know, like Linda mentioned, we're recording this now so that way parents who need translation can access the video and either view it ahead of time in whatever language they need with the closed captioning translation. But we will also be doing it live, so that way if there's questions or parents want to generate some conversation about this topic, because it is, social media is just, it's here to stay and it's a part of our lives. And I think that there could be some interesting conversations around it and other tips and support that parents can share. So we will be having a live workshop where we will show the video and the slides again. And we'll try to have some live interpreters there too, so that way we can generate a lot of conversation. If you're not able to make it, this is going to be recorded, so you can view it at any time. And then here are the contact names and number or emails for myself and the 2 guidance counselors that are here at East West. You know, we have Ms. Foreman and Ms. Park for middle school and high school. And if you have any questions or any concerns, feel free to reach out to any of us at any time. So that will conclude our recording. I will stop sharing, and I thank everyone for watching, and we appreciate any feedback and of course outreach with any questions. Thank you.